Far more than we think. Making Sense of Spirituality by Angelo. Chapter 48. Jobs for Life. Once we reduce the priority of money as the main reason for working, we're left wondering what on earth to do with our lives. Our careers and financial security have been so overwhelmingly important that the ego finds it impossible to contemplate life without them. We could travel and indulge ourselves in all sorts of ways, but we believe that all of this requires lots of money and is therefore unrealistic. Many who are unemployed would dearly like to have a job, and many who have stressful jobs would love to give it all up and enjoy life. The grass always seems to be greener on the other side of the fence, especially when it comes to our jobs. I spent 27 years in a career as an accountant and achieved moderate success and an affluent lifestyle. My ambition was fueled by my ego and by fear of failure, and I found the whole experience deeply stressful and depressing. The net result of my career was financial success and a mental breakdown that took me to the brink of suicide. The hole in my soul was so all-consuming that I was very nearly swallowed up by it. I had a loving wife and children and all the trappings of material success, yet I was so desperately unhappy that I wanted to go to sleep and never wake up. It was nobody's fault but mine, yet it wasn't really my fault either, because I had no idea what was causing my malaise. My only solace was in a glass of beer or wine, but even that was turning into a problem. In the end, I got so resentful and miserable that I ran away from the entire scenario and tried to build a new life with someone else. My lack of a job and purpose, and a totally codependent attitude towards my new relationship, eventually resulted in total mental deterioration, and I twice ended up in a psychiatric hospital. This is where my ambition, my career, and my coping strategies took me. Hell on earth. Many others end up in a similar mess or are on their way there, and the common solution always seems to be to eventually give up on ego and embrace spirituality. Most of our problems arise from ego, and the antidote to a fear-based ego is spiritual love. Once we fully embrace spirituality, we finally have a framework for our lives and a clear purpose for everything we do. Our purpose is to live as love and to help others do the same. It doesn't matter how we do this, but what does matter is that we do it. Each of us has an innate talent, and we can all learn new skills with practice. All we need to do is use these talents and skills to fulfill our purpose. Our job for life is to live as love, and our specific occupation at any point in our career is simply to do our job. We put care into the word career rather than trying to extract everything we can out of it. We put the horse firmly in front of the cart and pursue our jobs with passion and commitment. When we do this, work transforms from being an effort and a chore into a joyous experience of who we really are. If we find that we can't cope with our chosen role and we're showing signs of stress, we just move on and find an occupation that is better suited to us and does not stress us out. We need lots of Indians as well as the chiefs. There's no failure in doing a job that suits our individual talents. The failure comes when we try to push ourselves too far and we make ourselves miserable. If the money we earn from our occupation is not sufficient to support the lifestyle we lead, we can always downsize our lifestyle for the time being to fit our means. The spiritual person is quite happy to do this, because the important thing is to do our job as best we can, and not sell our souls to a lifestyle that we mistakenly aspire to. Lots of people have lifestyles that are supposedly superior, but few, if any, will experience the real beauty and wonder of life if they're operating from ego rather than spirit. Many people with material wealth invariably gain the world but lose their souls in the process. There's nothing to envy in those who consider themselves superior. Little do they know of the beauty within, or little do any of us know. What tends to happen to spiritual people is that they thrive in their chosen career because there's no substitute for passion and commitment. Whatever they do it really well because they are expressing their brilliant selves through their work. And people who are really good at their jobs tend to be well rewarded, and so it is that abundance flows to those who are not even focused on achieving it. The spiritual person works for the joy and love of fulfilling a purpose, and abundance flows to him or her without any apparent effort. This has been my experience, and I'm filled with gratitude for the abundance in my life. As well as chasing fortune, the other thing the ego seems to crave is fame. We live in a society that worships celebrity. We either want to be famous and on TV, or we're fascinated by the lives of those who are. If fame eludes us, we enjoy vicarious ego gratification through the people we know and associate with. Some so-called stars even achieve celebrity without having any noticeable talent other than thrusting themselves into the spotlight and then reveling in the notoriety. Society seems to take great delight in building up the reputations of celebrities and then tearing them back down as soon as they show any human failings. A great deal of celebrities struggle with living in the spotlight and resort to such behaviours as alcohol and drug abuse in order to cope. All of this goes on in front of our eyes, yet we secretly crave celebrity status for ourselves, as if somehow being famous will solve all of our problems and make us happy. We have stars in our eyes and long for our own moment in the spotlight. Well, this is clearly not the solution to life, yet many believe this celebrity lifestyle is the one that we should aspire to. Once again, the cart is before the horse. Seeking external approval and adulation keeps us from humility and appreciation of our imperfect selves. In fact, the seeking of celebrity status takes us in the opposite direction to the one in which the spiritual person wants to head. Fame and fortune will boost the ego and take us away from spirit. The celebrity culture is a narcissistic manifestation of a shallow society that does not recognize its own potential. All of us are capable of shining like the brightest of stars, if only we would allow ourselves to do so. The spiritual person ideally seeks neither fame nor fortune. These things may arise as a result of spiritual activities, but they are not the purpose. The purpose is to live as love and help others to do the same. Some spiritual thought leaders seek a public platform in order to make their message available to as wide an audience as possible. They may be perceived as indulging in self-promotion and exploitative financial gain, and indeed some may, but the true spiritual person is far more interested in promoting the message rather than self-glorification. It's an easy mistake to confuse the promotion of an important message with the promotion of the messenger. The messengers are transient, but the messages are enduring and life-changing. The gaining of a spiritual experience is priceless, yet many will reject it if it's offered free of charge. The cynical ego will think there's a catch and will not place any value on an idea if it costs nothing to obtain. Spirituality is freely available to those who earnestly seek it, and it's available at a price for those who feel something is only worthwhile if we have to pay for it. There are many, many paths, but they all eventually lead to the same place. It is perfectly possible to earn a good living and enjoy a wonderful life without having to be a slave to a stressful career. Those who live their lives as unconditional love will most likely thrive in accordance with the law of attraction and will receive all that they need in order to fulfill their life purpose. Work will be a joyous expression of talent and skill. But those who live in fear-based ego will constantly struggle to make enough money to meet their own ever-increasing aspirations, and they will inevitably lead a life of lack and envy. Work for them will be a necessary chore and will become miserable and stressful. This is the choice we face, yet millions upon millions choose to put the cart before the horse and consequently live mainly in fear rather than love. Our jobs need not be just something we grudgingly do in order to make enough money to feel safe and secure, to provide for our dependents, and to enjoy brief moments of self-gratifying pleasure. All of us are capable of far more than this. Living a life based on spiritual principles will free us from the bondage of ego and open our eyes to the limitless potential that exists. Once we are freed from our fear of lack, we can pursue a lifetime of giving rather than taking. Our primary passion is then to be of service to humankind in whatever way we can, safe in the knowledge that our rewards will be forthcoming. Our jobs become our lives, and being of service to others becomes our priority. Selfishness is transformed into selflessness. Participating in the web of interconnectedness that binds us all inextricably together becomes a joy rather than a burden. We can all have a job for life. We could do this by choosing spirituality and then pursuing our passion for service in whatever direction that takes us.